the institutional balance which requires a democracy to move forward, where each institution plays a significant role in achieving a vision consistent with people's aspirations, is also missing. The parliamentary system has resulted in no significant legislations moving forward, no discourse in the last 5 years on significant issues that impact it. The politics of obstruction has taken over the politics of construction. A particular leader of a political party has said that obstructing parliament is part of parliamentary democracy. I don't know where he gets that definition of parliamentary democracy from. And if this is the ideology of the BJP, then they have demonstrated that in opposition, they are not willing to take the agenda of the country forward. Remember, the UPA government, whichever government, even the NDA government, is a government which is the government of 1.2 billion people. It is not government for Congress, it's not government for this thing. It's a government of the people and for the people. Therefore, if an agenda is taken forward, it's not a Congress agenda. It's the nation's agenda, as perceived by a particular party, along with a coalition, their coalition partner. So that's a national agenda. Why should you want to obstruct the national agenda? I don't understand that. We know, for example, take in education, that we need investment. Everybody knows that. We know that we cannot build the institutions if we have a demographic dividend, and if the maximum workforce in India by in the world in 2030 is going to be provided by India. We desperately need our young Indians to be not only educated but also skilled. And that's a national agenda. And that can only happen because we cannot, government does not have the resources to build 800 universities or X number of 50,000 colleges, which will be the requirement in the years to come. So what is the BJP's position on that? What is the opposition's position? What is Nirantar Virodi's position on that? We don't know. We don't know that. Nobody questions him. And there's another worrying point, that whereas, the Supreme Court, and I'm happy, the Supreme Court is taking up issues of corruption and is standing up, for the fact that we will try and get rid of corruption as quickly as possible. And that's a welcome thing. But also, courts must stand up and say that, look, we will also not tolerate the kind of injustice that has gone on, for which cases have been filed and which are languishing in court. There are other areas which are equally important. Innocent people have lost their lives. Those cases are languishing in court for years. False encounters, matters of that nature, where, also I think need to be taken up on a daily basis, but it impacts the confidence of people in democracy, which is as important as dealing with corruption. So if there is a monitoring system in the cases of corruption, there also should be monitoring in the cases of where people are concerned. People believe in courts and have greatest faith in courts, and people believe that it's the court alone which can actually deliver justice. But courts should also then, there should be proactive elements within the system. Of course, that's really for the courts to decide. It is not for us to say. And then, of course, there are other institutions which somehow resulted in the confusion of contours of responsibility, which also has, led to a lot of confusion in the minds of people. So that's another concern in parliamentary democracy that needs to be addressed.